to be clear, Hitler had a very strong aversion to communism and a very
Yeah.
strong aversion to the Soviet Union. But what I argue in the book is that his fear of and hatred of the United States, the British Empire, and international capitalism was even greater. It was also periodically a love-hate relationship, so it's a complex relationship. But he's much, much more worried about British and American power than he is about Soviet power. And he's much more afraid of international capitalism than he is of communism. In fact, he regards communism, along with many other isms, socialisms, trade unionism, and so on, as instruments which are used by the forces of international capitalism to break down national economies and make them subject to the forces of international capitalism, which are both Jewish and non-Jewish. He specifically says that.
Yeah.
But obviously, anti-Semitism is a large part of this, but it is not just about anti-Semitism. Now, the reason why he thinks this is actually perfectly straightforward. It is true that the British Empire and the United States, taken together in the 1920s and 1930s, definitely have a preponderance of power in the world. Hitler was not alone in thinking that. That's a reasonable proposition. And it is also true that international capitalism was a very, very powerful force, the most powerful force, certainly than the other forces out there like Soviet communism and so on. Now, I personally think that was and is a good thing. Not everybody agrees with me. That in itself is not a bizarre belief. But he then sort of escalates that belief to a whole worldview which blames all the ills of Germany on this Anglo-American elite and on international Jewry in a way which strips out many, many other factors. That's where it becomes incredible and noxious. Of course, he is, to a considerable extent, reacting to his own biography. He has fought in the First World War for 4 years. Most of that time was spent fighting the British. He's got a huge respect for the British. He thinks they're the toughest race, basically, in the world. He thinks the Anglo-Saxons are the true master race. He thinks that the Germans have, in a sense, degenerated over the centuries and, in fact, need living space in the East to provide themselves with that sort of racial energy and quality which the British and later the Americans have acquired through their control of large amounts of the world's surface.